I see Darren's already in the chat. He's raring to go tonight. So I'm glad you're in here, Darren. I think there might be a couple more people watching. Um, Let me know if you can't hear me real well, cause I'm gonna I'm gonna adjust something here. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, okay. I think that's helping just a little bit because I don't want to sound like I'm screaming at you guys, but I think when we were fiddling with my microphone one day, I think Steve was fiddling with my volume control on the actual microphone, and I think it was making my voice lower whenever I was on these. So I just want to make sure people can hear me okay. So if anything's weird, Darren or anybody else that's in here, just let me know and I'll take a look at it. But it seems to be doing a little bit better now. I might just tilt it over. It's going over in the yellow. It doesn't look like it's going like off the scale and going in the red now. But at least it's kind of going across there. That's how I gauge a little bit. And I think the last one I did, or maybe the one before that, was a little bit um, lower than I was expecting. Okay, great. So I'm not blasting your ears, but I'm not too low either. So that's good. Um, so anyway, before we get into this, hey Texas, uh, actually, we're going to get into some Dirty Harry movies here in just a few, well, maybe a minute or so. Hey, X Ray. Um, but I did want to remind everybody, of course, Texas has, he made good on his promise to, hey, Jay, he made good on his promise to order some stuff from my Etsy shop, and boy, did he. He really made my sales look good. This isn't my demographic. Well, I'm taking a departure um, tonight. I just wanted to do something different here. Uh, Always a short notice. Um, well, actually, believe it or not, Texas, I put the promotion for this one on before lunchtime. So that's early for me. Usually it's like I don't know, an hour and a half, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, before I do one of these. Um, but I just wanted to have a little fun and do something before I started the new job tomorrow because with me starting the new job, I don't know how many of these I'm going to be able to do until I get situated at the new job and, all of that. So, X-ray, that might be a great like counter live stream to this one, or like a bookend to it or something. Because I know y'all are probably gonna laugh when I say this, but I don't intend this one to be like a 3-4 hour long show. So um, I probably won't cover the Italian ripoffs because mainly because I haven't had time to like look those up and possibly peruse them and watch a few of them. I went back and like refreshed myself on a few of these Dirty Harry movies. So, um, but um, I just lost my whole train of thought there. Um, but I would love to do that. Maybe a second live stream. I can do that and talk about some of those Italian ripoffs. I'm sure Steve could, is well versed in those. Um, I should text you so you know what's happening in Texas. Um, I'll try to remember to do that next time, um, so that I can give you a heads up on that. Uh, I was laughing because X-Ray say Dana just needed an excuse to talk about how Clint gives her the vapors. Now, I'll be honest. Clint Eastwood in his younger days, was, he was a good-looking man. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, and I'm not saying he really done it for me in the Dirty Harry movies. They're entertaining, but like something like Play Misty for me. Yeah, he was, in those old westerns he was on. He was very nice looking in those. Um, X-ray, you say if these things aren't 6 hours, might as well pack it in. Well, sometimes I would love to go on 6 hours. Of course, Steve probably thinks I'm nuts about, even thinking about doing that. I see people doing 5 hour streams on just like drama on the internet. And I'm like, if somebody can do 5 hours on drama on the internet of people infighting and stuff like that, why can't we do something fun that's hours long? Because that drama, after a while, that stuff gets on my nerves. Um, but yeah, you say, see. Jay, you say, as the pendulum swung back so we get more cop and vigilante movies. Well, Jay, I like to mix it up every once in a while, and I've done a lot of the horror stuff, and so I thought, well, why don't we just turn it on its ear and do these gritty some of these gritty cop movies, because I've been a fan of Dirty Harry for a long time. But we'll get into that, I promise. Um, Wes, you want to know, is Steve going to do another Yummy Gummy infused stream soon? Uh, I really can't say, Wes. I don't know. It's possible. It's certainly possible. But if he does one of those, it'll probably be on a Saturday, I'm sure. Uh, you want me to give a brief review of Salo? Okay, refresh my memory because I think I watched that with Steve. But is that the one where they're eating shit? I mean, or being forced to eat shit or whatever. Is that the one, or am I thinking of a different one? Cause if it's that one, I I don't know. That movie just didn't really do it for me. Um, I mean, I guess it was okay, and I guess people watch it for the shock value and all that stuff, and I guess as a the curiosity factor. Okay, it is that one. Okay, so I'm not completely talking out my butt here. Um, but for me personally, it's one of those movies that once the shock value is worn off, there's really no reason for me to go back and watch that movie again. Because, in my opinion, it really doesn't have anything else going for it other than the shock value. And then the word of mouth gets around about a movie like that. And, um, if it had, I just don't recall it having much of a story. It was just basically one shock scene after the other, meant, I'm guessing, for somebody to go, oh my God, I can't believe they showed that on screen. Um, but with no real tissue to move the plot along, no connectivity or anything. So I guess that's kind of my review on it. I don't want to go, too on and on about it, but that's how I feel about that movie. X-Ray, you say, day your own Salo non-turd edition. um, Jay, you say I mean in real life. Well, soaring crime rates bring new cop and vigilante movies. It's one positive of crime. LOL. Well, anything's possible, Jay. That they say that art imitates life, or life imitates art. So it's that is certainly possible. Um, Darren, you say you do like the Dirty Harry films, but I'm not really well versed in them. Okay, well we're not gonna go like scene by scene or anything and just completely dissect them, but I am gonna talk about each one of the films in the series. Um, so that will give you, probably some indication of whether or not you want to continue to watch all the ones in the series or not, or that's my hope. um, X-ray, you say you'd like to see a resurgent, but producers are too woke now. And yeah, I could see that as well. I could see it going either way. It just depends on what they think is going to sell in the market. What's going to make the dollars? And sometimes they're right on this stuff, and sometimes they're totally wrong. So, but we're kind of at the mercy of the people that make these decisions, these creativity decisions about movies and books and other forms of media. But before I get into these films, I did want to thank Texas again, once again, for his rather large order. And I'm hoping Texas that you're enjoying your order now. Um, let's see, and you can go to my Etsy shop, the Morbid Beauty Boutique, and get stuff like candles. I've got horror candles with a bunch of different, hopefully unique sounding scents, and um, I have different types of stickers that I can put on the tops of the candles. Um, and also, I have Last Drive-In candles with either Joe, Bob, Darcy, or Ernie, the bearded dragon on the tops, and then they have their own separate scents that I can put in the wax, and you can also choose a color for your wax. I also have Last Drive-In pint glasses, um, and Last Drive-In stickers right now. I hope to have some other things up a little bit later. Well, that's great. I'm glad, Texas. I I was hoping that the candles would make it to you all intact, and like I've seen how the mail carriers handle stuff at times, and I'm assuming people have to deal with bad mail carriers all over the United States. Um, so I I've seen them like take things and just kind of toss them up on your porch, and I've gotten packages that look like they went through a paper shredder, or that somebody used them to play football or whatever. They're just beat and banged all to hell. Um, so, um, but that's good to know that they made it to you rather safely. Um, oh, good, good. Um, in Texas, you said Fighting Back with Tom Skerritt is one of my favorite vigilante movies. I don't know if I've seen that particular one. I've seen some vigilante movies, but I don't believe I've seen that one. But I would be interested, definitely interested in watching it, and I like Tom Skerritt as well. So, okay. So, as I said earlier, I'm taking a little bit of a departure from the horror movies, um, and doing some gritty cop movies, namely the Dirty Harry movies tonight. And as you can see, and I will show you some of the stuff that's in this pack, or in this box set here in just a little bit. But this is the excuse me, the Dirty Harry Ultimate Collector's Edition. And I think I ended up paying like $50 for this. I ended up having to get it off of eBay because I didn't catch it, unfortunately, when it came out the first time around. Um, so, we're gonna, like I said, talk about each one of the Dirty Harry movies. And I'm also going to show you the goodies that is in this box set here. Um, X-Ray, you say Night of the Juggler is a fucking classic revenge vigilante movie that still hasn't gotten a decent release. Now, X-Ray, that's one that I've heard of, but I haven't seen. But I'm sure Steve's probably either got a copy somewhere, or he could probably get it for me. That's another one that I've heard a lot about over time, and I'd like to see that one. Darren, you say, have you seen the Eastwood film Tightrope? It's pretty much a straight up slasher. Um, I don't believe I've seen that one, Darren. But if it's pretty much a slasher movie, I would definitely be interested in watching it. Um, oh, you won that collection X-ray? Yes, it does have a tiny cop wallet. I was telling my mom about all the things that were in it, and I actually, when I got this, um, okay, you have that collection. Okay, great. Um, but I took pictures of it when I first got it, and I've had this, oh, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 years now. Time goes by so fast, we don't even realize it sometimes. Um, but before I really get into this, guys, and Steve will laugh for sure, especially if he's watching this live right now. Um, as I told everybody, um, I was gonna have to have a tooth extracted, and I'm still dealing with some pain. The swelling has went down. I went for a post-op checkup today, and the dentist said that there was no sign of infection, but that I needed to finish up my infection pills or my antibiotic. And if I had a lot of pain, to contact the office because they might need to give me a stronger antibiotic. Um, and that I'm supposed to be taking it easy for, the next few days, next couple weeks or whatever. But I can't completely take it easy because I'm starting the new job tomorrow. So the pain's starting to get a little ratcheted up right now. I can feel it. Um, so I honestly try not to get up and down too much, but I may have to in a little bit just go get me some pain medicine. And I'm just hoping it's not too bad tomorrow because there's several things I got to do as far as a new job. And I don't know if they're actually going to have me sit down there and take calls and do tickets tomorrow, or is this going to be like showing me around and finishing up any outstanding paperwork that I need to do and all that good stuff. So, um, and to top it off, I have to leave out a little earlier than I've been used to for a while. I've got to be there by 8:15 tomorrow. Um, so I'm going to head out with Steve, and he's going to drop me off at the bus stop, and then he's going to go to work. And I am going to ride the bus, good old 17 bus downtown. I just won't be getting off where I normally used to get off to go to the library. I will be getting off a few streets before that. So, anyway, and I'm hoping I can find a Starbucks around there because I know I'm going to get there a little bit early. And I don't want to get there too early, so I was hoping there maybe was a Starbucks down there close by my new place of employment, so I can maybe stop and get me a venti hot chocolate and a donut or something. But anyway, not that you guys need to hear all that, but anyway, if I have to get up, hopefully it'll be quick and I'll just grab some medicine and take it and I'll be okay. So, anyways, um, I went back and gave myself a little bit of a refresher on some of these movies. There are actually 5 movies in the Dirty Harry collection. Um, Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer, Sudden Impact, and the Deadpool. Um, and one of the things I wanted to bring up real quick is the fact that Clint Eastwood, first of all, he chose to not make any more Dirty Harry movies after Deadpool. Um, just because he thought at the age he was at that time, I think in his 50s or so, that it was time to hang up his 44, so to speak, you know. And I think that was a smart decision on Clint Eastwood's part. And the other smart decision, I think, is Warner Brothers and everybody else involved with these movies didn't just keep making them and just replace Clint Eastwood with someone else. I don't know why they can't do that with other movie franchises, even though we're sorry to see them go. But I just think Clint Eastwood was so smart. The way he said, okay, I've reached this point. I don't think I need to go any further with this. Um, that I just need to, call it a day. Hang up my 44 and just, um, that's all she wrote, Um, because even though we're sad to see that character or that franchise go away, it doesn't get tarnished by, um, it doesn't get tarnished by somebody else coming in there and trying to take over that title role and then not doing it justice. Um, the franchise gets to end on a high note. Um, so, uh, yes, Jay, a man does have to know his limitations. X-Ray, you say, you just know a remake is coming, except Harry's going to be a strong woman of color who don't need a man. Um, I'm hoping that does not happen. And I'm not saying this because I am a traitor to the female population, or that I have something against women of color. I certainly do not. But everything, it just seems like everything has to be so PC anymore, and they have to make a statement about having women or having people of color or having different cultures, different nationalities. It's like, why do we got to do this? Just, if there's a reason for putting a person of color or a person of a different nationality or putting a woman in a role, I have no problems. But don't do it just because you think you have to or it makes you look good, and then just destroying a franchise like the Dirty Harry franchise that we're going to talk about tonight, just for the sake of saving face. Because that doesn't do anybody any favors. It really doesn't. Uh, you think it's going to be a dwarf cop, Texas? X-Ray, you said they're going to try to make Scorpio a sympathetic character. Just watch. Lord, I hope and pray that they really don't do that. I really hope that does not happen. So, anyway, we're just going to get started with the first one. And I also have some notes, some online notes that I will be referring to. Um, of course, the first Dirty Harry movie is simply called Dirty Harry. And it's the one, honestly, I'm most familiar with. It's the one I've seen the most times. Um, it's a movie that my dad introduced me to. My dad introduced me to the Dirty Harry movies. My dad also introduced me to the Death Wish movies, which I would like to also cover at another point in time when I have some time to do that. But let's give a little plot on the original Dirty Harry movie. Um, let's see. Um, well, let me talk about the film series in general. So it's an action film series featuring the San Francisco police detective or a police department homicide division inspector, Dirty Harry Callahan. And there are 5 films, like I said: Dirty Harry from 1971, Magnum Force 1973, The Enforcer 1976, the year I was born, Sudden Impact from 1983, and Deadpool from 1988. Um, Clint Eastwood portrayed Callahan in all 5 films, and he directed Sudden Impact. Um, so Callahan is notorious for his unorthodox, violent, and ruthless methods against the criminals and killers he is assigned to apprehend. At the same time, he is assigned a partner who usually is killed or heavily injured throughout the film. So, a little plot synopsis on the original Dirty Harry movie from 1971. I was directed by Don Siegel, and as we said before, it stars Clint Eastwood as Harry Callahan. He's tracking a serial killer who goes by the name of Scorpio. Uh, and it's loosely the Scorpio killer is loosely based on the Zodiac killer. Uh, Eastwood's iconic portrayal of the blunt-speaking, unorthodox detective set the style for a number of his subsequent roles, and its box office success led to the production of 4 sequels. The alienated cop motif was subsequently imitated by a number of other films. At the beginning of the film, Callahan corners a bank robber and says, "You've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?" The line became famous, although often misquoted as "Do you feel lucky, punk?" The second movie, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, Magnum Force opens with Harry asking, "Do you feel lucky?" This was the 4th highest grossing film of 1971 after Fiddler on the Roof, The French Connection, and Diamonds Are Forever. So, that's just a little background / plot synopsis on the original Dirty Harry movie. But I guess this, I like all the Dirty Harry movies, but the first one holds a special place in my heart. Mainly because, one, it's the introduction of the Dirty Harry Callahan character played by Clint Eastwood. And it also has Andrew, who went by Andy Robinson, but it's Andrew Robinson as the Scorpio killer. And this just really goes to show you what a talented actor can do. Now, I already knew Clint Eastwood was a talented actor, but when I saw Andrew Robinson in this role as the Scorpio killer, he really, I could almost believe he was this crazy, sadistic killer in this movie. When Andrew Robinson turned on the craziness, he really turned it on. And I've seen him play good characters too. For instance, in Hellraiser, he was he was a weak character. You know, and I don't mean weak as in his acting chops weren't good. That's not what I mean. I mean the character that he played was weak. And he was kind of put upon by his wife and other people. They just kind of pushed him around. Um, but in Dirty Harry, there's none of that. But that just shows you what a great actor Andrew Robinson is, that he can play this really sadistic, batshit, off the wall, crazy dude in Dirty Harry. And then he can turn around several years later and be in Hellraiser and be a more sympathetic, kind of put upon character who really loves his wife, but she would rather screw around with his brother and essentially ends up causing him to be killed and taken over by his brother Frank. So, this one, the original Dirty Harry just seems to hit all the buttons. Um, Don Siegel knew what he was doing when he directed this movie. Clint Eastwood knew what he was doing. Andrew Robinson knew what he was doing. Everybody that worked on this film seemed to give it their all. And, you know, I don't want to give, like, you know, for instance, Darren talks about he's, you know, kind of intrigued by him, but yet I don't know how much of these, any of them that he has watched. So I don't want to give away all the entire story of Dirty Harry, other than what I have also or already given you. John Vernon is also in this one. And I think it is a very, you know, some people might not think this is a strong, hard hitting cop movie, but I do. I really, for 1971 when it came out, and I think it came out, I think if you guys are right, if a movie like this was floating, a screenplay was floating around Hollywood right now, it probably wouldn't even get made. Or it wouldn't get made in the same way it got made in 1971, just because the attitudes have changed over time. People are afraid to take chances, people are afraid of offending a certain group, a certain culture, a certain, you know, a certain you know, if they're not afraid that they're going to offend African Americans, they're afraid they're going to offend whites. If they're not afraid of that, they're afraid they're going to offend the Chinese, the Japanese, Hispanic people, and so that has made everyone so afraid to take chances. That our movies and all forms of media really are suffering. For instance, and I hold no ill will for Whoopi Goldberg at all. I love Whoopi Goldberg, and I realize some of you guys out there might not give a shit about Whoopi Goldberg, but I've always liked her in movies. But here's the thing. It's almost as if somebody had to put Whoopi Goldberg in the remake of The Stand as sorry, as Mother Abigail. Yes, Mother Abigail was black, and it would have made sense to have a black person in that role. But did it necessarily need to be Whoopi Goldberg? No, and I realize it couldn't be Ruby Dee anymore. Because she, I believe, has since passed away. She was pretty old when she was in the original Stand miniseries. But, and the other thing was Larry Underwood's character, the singer in The Stand, um, if you read the book, he's not a black guy. His mother even, says that he sounds black when he sings. And that seemed to play off of things because he jokes that that brown sound sure do get around and all that. And his mother doesn't really care for that. But when you turn around and you make Larry Underwood a black guy, you can't, there's no play on that. Um, and I felt like that was forced. I felt like the studios or somebody was being forced to put a black guy in the role of Larry Underwood, and it just did not seem to fit. And I'm not saying I hated the new Stand. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I would much rather go back to the miniseries that came out in 1994, or even go back to the book. Um, I just feel like the miniseries from '94 was more true to the book than this newer incarnation of the Stand. Um, Jay, you say they're going to make Scorpio a cop and Dirty Harry a member of the protest group. Darren, you say, I've seen them all, but only one time. I remember liking them all for different reasons. First one I can see is a classic. This spawned as many rip-off films as this Friday the 13th was slasher films. Yes, I agree. And some of them were good. Some of them were just okay, and then some of them were terrible, just like with the slasher films. Um, but um, I just don't see a movie being able to be made now like they were made in 71. Um, just like I said, the attitudes have changed so much um, that movies like this won't get made anymore. Just because they're so afraid of offending whatever group of people would be offended at this time, which is a lot of people. Um, People seem to get offended over any little old thing anymore. Um, you did see a version called Wolf Cop. Yeah, I didn't like Wolf Cop. Yeah. Um, so, y'all feel free to keep putting things in the chat. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go like completely dissecting these movies. I kind of just wanted to give an overview of them. Like I said, show off a few things in my little box set. Um, but the second movie in the series is Magnum Force, and Magnum Force. Let's give y'all a little. Magnum Force is from 1973. It was directed by Ted Post. The main theme of this film is, of course, vigilante justice, and we talked about vigilantes a little bit earlier. The plot revolves around a group of renegade traffic cops, one of who is played by Kip Niven in the movie, who are executing criminals who have avoided conviction in court. Despite Harry's penchant for strong arm methods, he does not tolerate cold blooded murder of the accused and resolves to stop the killers. In this film, Harry's catchphrase is "A man's got to know his limitations," which was brought up a little bit earlier, Wasn't it, guys? Um, so, this movie also has Hal Holbrook in it, David Soles in it, Robert Urich. Like I said, Kip Niven is also in it too. And like I said earlier, it was directed by Ted Post. Oh yes, Tim Matheson. I had forgotten. Yes, Texas. Tim Matheson is also in this movie. Um, a lot of people either that were big names then or people that became big names a little bit later in their career. Um, Mitchell Ryan was also in this movie too. Um, this one, in some ways, was a little bit darker for me than the original Dirty Harry. And I'll tell you why. Because the darkness was seeming to come from inside of the police force. It was coming from inside of the police force. And, you know, we're supposed to be able to trust the police force. Theoretically, we're supposed to be able to trust the police force. But there was such a darkness in the San Francisco Police Department on Magnum Force. And it was eerie. It was eerie the way these renegade traffic cops were going about their form of vigilante justice. I think there's a scene, I believe there's a scene in there where they're doing some target practice. And one of the renegade traffic cops is like really dead on as far as shooting these targets that have that outline of a person on them. And when Harry is trying to figure out what's going on, and when he finally does discover exactly what's going on, when the renegade cops explain to him what they're doing, it's almost as if they're planning on killing Harry. Or attempting to kill Harry if he doesn't, go along with their plans. Um, and there's something, it's just seedy, and there's an underlying, like, a undercurrent of, like, evil in the police force, I feel like, in this movie. And, I mean, perhaps I'm wrong. Did any of you guys feel that way that have seen all the films, or maybe that have just seen these first couple? Did you feel like there was, that this one was even darker than the original Dirty Harry? Because I felt that way, just because of the introduction of the renegade traffic cops in this one. It doesn't make it any less of a great film in the series. It just seemed a little eerier, a little more creepy, a little more dark than the original one. But in all of these, no matter how dark the action or the main plot of the story is, you always have Harry making his little catchphrases or saying things like marvelous or something like that, and then him just doing the wackiest things, usually in the first few minutes of the film, that gets him in trouble with his superiors every time he does it. But they still continue to, like, they may make him give his badge up at some point during the film, but he always remains on the police force in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, like I said, feel free to, chat away in there if you guys feel the same way I do about Magnum Force, or even if you don't feel the same way, I would love to see your comments in there. But, honestly, I don't dislike any of the Dirty Harry movies, and, you're not going to hear me say that I don't like some of the movies. Texas, you said that one is definitely darker. That swimming pool scene, holy shit. Yeah. And I was thinking that that swimming pool scene, that Suzanne Summers is somewhere in that pool scene, or some pool scene she is in. Um, I know there's some nudity, but I'm not sure if Suzanne Summers is ever actually nude in any of the scenes. She may just be in a bathing suit. But yes, um, but yeah, I think all the films have a darkness to them. Just some of them, it seems a little more creepy, like in things like Magnum Force, just because the darkness is coming from within the police force instead of an outside source, an outside antagonist that's causing the problem. So, moving moving right along to the third one in the series, which is the Enforcer. Again, I'm going to give you, and this was one I just refreshed myself on because I hadn't seen it for a little while. The Enforcer was from 1976. It was directed by James Fargo. In this film, Harry is teamed with a female partner with no field experience. Now, keep in mind, in 1976, American women had only recently been allowed to fill patrol and investigative assignments in most police bureaus. Inspector Kate Moore, played by Tyne Daly, um, joins Harry after his previous partner gets killed in the line of duty. They take on a terrorist ring calling themselves the People's Revolutionary Strike Force. Harry opposes introducing inexperienced officers to the dangers of police work, whether male or female, and sees the homicide division as too dangerous for his new partner, who worked until recently in the personnel department. Though Moore starts out over enthusiastic, she soon proves herself valuable to Harry and matures quickly, earning Harry's respect in the process. And you can definitely see that point where she earns Harry's respect. And the point in the movie where she earns his respect is when they're supposed to be getting some kind of commendations or whatever from the mayor. Um, and it's all a show. It's all a work. For you, those of you that watch a lot of wrestling, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's a work. Because Harry and Kate didn't have anything to do with the bust on this character of Mustafa in the movie. They actually went to him wanting his help to find the leader of this terrorist organization that's threatening to blow up the city um, if they're not, if their demands are not given into. And there's this whole big thing where it's just a big old publicity thing to make, the mayor and make the head of the police force uh, look like a big deal. And Harry's having none of it. And he just basically tells them to go to hell. And his boss says for him to give him his badge, and he does. And basically, like I said, tells him to go to hell, and he leaves. And Tyne Daly's character of Kate Moore leaves too and follows Harry. And I think it's at that point that she gains his respect because you see that hint of a smile from Harry. And you don't see him do that very much in the films. Usually it's a scowl that he has on his face. It's like, you guys are just full of shit. That's what he's doing. He's looking at all his superiors and stuff, and he just cannot abide the foolishness that goes on. He's not there to make other people look good. He's not there to make other people famous. He's there to be a cop and do what he's supposed to do. and protect people and all of that. Um, Jay, you say you love Magnum Force. It's a good counterbalance that you need to police your team for evil. Yes, there's got to be a checks and balances. When you don't have a checks and balances, or if somebody that's higher up than the people that are doing the dirty work and they're either allowing it or joining in, um, you have a bigger problem than you started out with. Um, and it's a very dangerous problem, unfortunately, especially when you're dealing with a police force. Um, but I really like the enforcer. I like and I'm not saying this because I'm one of those women's lib freaks or something like that. I just thought it was an interesting um, partnering to have Tyne Daly play Harry's partner in the movie. I didn't really care much for Tyne Daly stuff like uh, Touched by an Angel and stuff like that and I'll tell you why. Because I thought the character of Kate Moore that she played in The Enforcer was realistic, especially for that time period. And it didn't seem like Tyne Daly was afraid to take chances with that role. Then when she was on Touched by an Angel, and I realized what that show is about. It has, it's supposed to have a spiritual backbone, a religious backbone, however you want to look at it. But they had one episode, and I don't know how many of you guys have seen any episodes of Touched by an Angel, but I just happened to watch. I wasn't really into it, but I just happened to be sitting in front of the TV one day. This was when I was still living with my parents, and I was quite a bit younger than I am now. And I just thought, well, I'm going to watch this show. Because my mom always liked it. She thought it was, that generally they had good messages and stuff. But this particular episode was about video games. And you had these people that were angels, including Tyne Daly, going on and on about violent video games being the cause of making these young people turn out to be killers and all this stuff. And somebody was on trial for something, and the whole video game thing just kept coming up, kept coming up, kept coming up. And I was like, oh my gosh. I just cannot believe this. So Tyne Daly went from playing a realistic, emotionally, in my opinion, emotionally balanced character in The Enforcer, to this just a poor substitute for what she used to be. And it doesn't mean that I dislike Tyne Daly as an actress after this. It's just I'm like, why would you do that? You had such an energy. And I'm not saying that you have to get on a movie and cuss, because she did say like son of a bitch under her breath and stuff like that when she was getting aggravated with Harry. Uh, and I do realize that Touched by an Angel is a television show that families would watch, and Dirty Harry is not. This is a gritty cop movie. Um, I'm just saying, I don't think that I could honestly allow myself, if I was an actress, to play a character like that seems like you're just spouting bullshit. Um, because those of us that have a right, well, how do I want to say this where it doesn't sound really super offensive to people that there's religious and then there's freaky religious. And for them to portray angels in this television show as like freaky religious, I just think that's honestly going too far. And they talk about things like violence and stuff like that in television shows, sending the wrong message to people. Well, how about people portraying angels in the show and they're spouting off a bunch of bullshit that we all know that that's not the right information to give out, and they're just feeding into that whole um, violent video games, music, horror movies, whatever turns people into killers. I think that's bullshit, and I'll call bullshit on it. So that's just the problem. Excuse me. I have with I guess the two sides to Tyne Daly's career. Um, Jay, you say Dana's not going to talk about Dirty Harry banging his Asian neighbor. He did bang his Asian neighbor, but Jay, unfortunately, you know, Harry gets the women in the movies, especially in the first one. But as a woman, I guess Harry's bedroom activities just wasn't as interesting to me personally as the other stuff in the film. I hope that's not, you know, being too forward when I say that. Um, yes, Texas, shows like that created the Hallmark and Lifetime channels. And I'm not saying that there's not good stuff on both of those channels, but you can go too far with some of that stuff. And, you know, I've always joked that Lifetime is the Women in Peril channel. Um, and I still stand by that. That doesn't mean I don't occasionally watch it. And there were some good things on the Hallmark channel, like there was that movie To Dance with a White Dog that was featured on the Hallmark channel. Those movies I think are really good. Movies that try to beat you over the head with some kind of moral compass, that's the ones I have a problem with. Um, so, and I'm sure not all of the Touched by an Angel shows were like that. Just that one particular one that I had the unfortunate experience of watching uh, was like that. And maybe there were more. I don't know. I would have to actually ask somebody that watched that show on a regular basis. So, so the Enforcer was one I really liked. I was kind of bummed out near the end of it, and I'm not going to give it away. Um, in case, you know, there's some of you in here, some of you that might watch this later that have not seen it. Um, Texas, you say you had a damn pedophile on Seventh Heaven. Yeah. And my mom loves Seventh Heaven. She absolutely loved that show, and she loved Touched by an Angel as well. And she probably wouldn't like it if we brought up, hey, there was a pedophile on Seventh Heaven. Um, yeah. But anyway, moving on to the Sudden Impact, which I was going to try to refresh myself on that one, but I'm kind of remembering some of it because I watched the beginning of it before I started this stream. And Sudden Impact was from 1983. It was actually directed by Clint Eastwood. Aging but still bitter, Callahan is sent to a small town to follow up a lead in a murder case, which leads him directly to a rape victim who is out to avenge herself and her catatonic sister by killing the people who sexually assaulted them. This film is notable for Callahan's catchphrase, "Go ahead, make my day." And I actually did hear him utter that before I had to turn the movie off. Um, Now, guys, am I wrong on this? Sandra Locke is also in Sudden Impact. And didn't her and Clint Eastwood have a thing for a while? Because it seems like they did. And, being as he directed this one and she's also in it, um, so I just, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I am going to step away and take some more medication because the pain where in and around where I had the tooth removed is not going away. Okay, they did. So I was correct on that. So I'm going to step away um, and put the lovely Evil Dead background for you guys on, and I will be back as soon as I can. Okay, guys, I'm back. Um, like I said, unfortunately, the pain was not subsiding, so I had to get a little medication. And I also got my black jelly beans. Um, let's see. And Jay, you said they had that Clint Eastwood and Sandra Locke had kids together. I didn't realize they had kids together, but I did think that they had a relationship for a while. Texas, you say she directed the great piece of trash Rat Boy. I don't think I've ever seen Rat Boy, but you say it's a great piece of trash. Mm. Okay, so I remember liking Sudden Impact. Like I said, when I was rewatching the beginning of it, it was coming back to me. And it, fits into that rape revenge type of mold as well as being a cop movie. And I think Clint Eastwood did an awesome job with it. He also directed Play Misty for Me, which I think is an excellent movie and a really, really great movie. And I urge you, if you've not seen Play Misty for Me, that you try to seek this one out to watch because I think you will really, really enjoy it. In case did you say so bad but funny? I may have to just seek that one out just to watch it for curiosity's sake. Um, and like I said, I think Clint Eastwood focused more on on Sandra Locke's character, the rape victim, and her sister in the movie than he did on the cop stuff. And I think at this point, because this was his next to last movie, and maybe he didn't know that at the time, but I think that was a wise decision to kind of focus more on some other characters instead of focusing so much on the Dirty Harry Callahan character. I really think, Clint Eastwood knew what he was doing. He really, really did. And these movies were all the better for, I think, the decisions that he made. Oh, wow, Texas, you just watched her in Death Game. That movie's wild. It's got her and Colleen Camp in it, right? As those batshit crazy chicks. Yeah, I like that one. But I don't want you guys to think I'm like that or anything. Okay. So, moving right along. And then, like I said, I'm going to show you guys the goodies. Is the last Dirty Harry movie. And that is Deadpool. And I believe this has Jim Carrey in it. I can't remember how big his part is at this point, but I was pretty sure he was in it. The Deadpool was directed by Buddy Van Horn. Harry finds that he is among the subjects of a Deadpool, a game betting on deaths of celebrities. As someone tries to rig the game by killing the celebrities on one player's list. Harry's catchphrase in this movie was, "You're shit out of luck." After this film, Eastwood retired from playing the Dirty Harry character as he felt his age of 58 in 1988 would make Harry a parody. And like I said, I believe that was a wise decision on his part. And yeah, I love Colin Camp too. Colin Camp is another one of those people that can play a really nice, kind character or a funny character, and then she can also turn on that sadistic, crazy side too. In my opinion, the Deadpool was the weakest of all the Dirty Harry movies, and maybe because it was Clint Eastwood's final one, and essentially the final Dirty Harry movie. Like I said, I think Clint Eastwood was wise when he just said, "This is it. I'm not doing any more." Um, I'm sure that he wouldn't have minded if they carried on with another actor playing the part, but I'm glad that they didn't go there. And I know that a remake could be somewhere on the horizon. But they would have to change so many things for it to fit into the dynamic now of the way movies are made and the attitudes that are in Hollywood right now and the attitudes in the movie watching public and all of that. I think the days where filmmakers didn't give a shit, they just made whatever they wanted to make. Um, and if Hollywood wanted to market it, okay. If they didn't, they would find another way to get the movie out there. I think those days have sadly come and gone. But we're poorer for it. That things have went in that direction, in my opinion. Um, but I definitely felt like this was the weakest of the films. Um, I don't know if it's mostly because it was the last Dirty Harry movie, the last time that Clint Eastwood played Dirty Harry Callahan. It just did not seem to have the oomph that the other movies had. And Clint Eastwood gave it his all in this one. But I think instead of him being like bitter, sarcastic Harry, he was like tired Harry. He's like, I'm tired of filling this role. And it's probably because Clint Eastwood was tired of fulfilling the role and it just kind of bled on through into the movie. Um, Patricia Clarkson is in this movie, and Liam Neeson is also in this movie as well. Um, and that pretty much concludes my little mini review and my thoughts on each one of the films in the series. Um, like I said, I didn't intend this one to be super long. I am going to show you guys the goodies that's in this set. You do get. So this is a nice little hardbound book with pictures and stuff from the films in it, which is really nice. But this is the jewel, in my opinion, is what's in this little box here. Okay. As was said earlier, you do get a little mini wallet with Harry Callahan, Inspector 2211 on there, and you can see this looks like it's really been utilized. It also has the badge there, Inspector 2211 police. That's cool. There's a little personal message from Clint Eastwood in here, where he basically says, it was upsetting to me the day I had to turn down the role of Dirty Harry Callahan. It was a breakout part, an actor's dream, and it arrived at a moment when I wanted to branch out from the westerns with which I'd been associated. And I loved the story that took up the play of the victim. The script was offered to Universal in the late 1960s. And I had a scheduling conflict, so I had to walk away. The role was offered to Frank Sinatra, but an old hand injury made it hard for him to wield Harry's trademark .44 Magnum. Other big names were considered for the role, including Robert Mitchum and Steve McQueen. But for one reason or another, they passed on it. By that time, the script ended up at Warner Brothers, and when they decided to go ahead with the movie, I was available. No one could have wanted to do it more. It was my pleasure to work on the film with my friend Don Siegel, whom I greatly admired as a director. Later in the Dirty Harry series, I directed Sudden Impact. Making those films was a great adventure. I got to work in San Francisco, where I was born. I had the privilege of delivering some great movie lines. Did I feel lucky? Yeah, no question. This special edition is a great way to experience the films. Restored, remastered, they look the way they were always meant to be seen. And if you really love Harry, take a look at all the extras. There's there's a lot to see, including some new on-screen interviews that I recorded just for this release. After all, what's a Dirty Harry collection if it's not fully loaded? Enjoy, Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Jay, you said that's sweet. Yeah, this whole package is sweet, I think. Um, Texas, you said, get off my lawn. Love, Clint. And these are actually, I believe these are lobby cards here. Let me see if I can get those out for you. There's like the what the movie poster for the original Dirty Harry looked like. There's one for Magnum Force. There's one for the Enforcer. There's one for Sudden Impact. And there's one for the Deadpool. Got a little blurry there, didn't it? This is a copy of a telegram to Frank Wells at Warner Brothers from Ted Ashley, where it says, to quote Sinatra, Dirty Harry's one hell of a good script, although it is a bit overwritten. Meeting with him Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. to discuss directors, etc. Recommend that you meet with Mickey promptly so that I may be guided in my discussion with Sinatra by any deal problems that might argue for or against going forward. Okay, here's another telegram from Ted Ashley to John Calley. Sinatra likes Dirty Harry. Meeting him Wednesday afternoon in New York for a discussion. Would appreciate your telexing before then. Distillation of Pollack and your thoughts regarding revision of script overall and Dirty Harry characters specifically. I remember the gist of those ideas, but I just want to make Sinatra's meeting as solid as possible. I hope you guys don't mind me reading these. They're for the most part really short. There's a from November 11th, 1970, for release Thursday, November 12th, 1970, for Warner Brothers Studio, Burbank, California. Where it basically says Frank Sinatra has withdrawn from his star role in Warner Brothers' Dead Right because of medical complications have delayed the healing of his recent hand injury. And I'm guessing this was maybe another movie, not just. I think it's further explaining why Sinatra didn't get to do the Dirty Harry movie. No, I guess Dead Right was actually. I guess that was the title of the Dirty Harry movie before it became Dirty Harry. Let's see. And it goes on to say pre-production on Dead Right is underway and filming is expected to begin as soon as a replacement for Sinatra is found. Irwin Kershner will produce and direct the contemporary story about urban violence. There's that. Then there is something, an inter-office memo to Ed Morey from Jack Delaney. The subject is the Dirty Harry wardrobe. This is from June 30th, 1971. Copies to Charles Greenlaw. And it says, Dear Ed, the cost of the wardrobe taken by Clint Eastwood upon completion of production 10539 Dirty Harry is as follows. Raincoat, $42.50. Keep in mind this is 1971 as well. Windbreaker, $20.25. Sports coats, $52.40 each. That came to a total of $104.80. Sweaters, $16 each. Came to a total of $32. Ties, $8 each. Came to a total of $32. Levi's, $7.50 each. Can you imagine getting a pair of Levi's at $7.50? Comes to, that's two pairs of Levi's, total $15. One pair of coveralls, $10.95. So that came to a total of $257.50 plus $12.88 tax. The whole wardrobe for Dirty Harry in the first movie came to $270.38. Don Siegel, one pair of coveralls, which the total came to $11.50. Bob Daly, one pair of coveralls. His also came to a total of $11.50. And there's that there, in case you're interested. There's some other stuff in here. I'm not going to read every single one of these. But this is just interesting duplication of documents related to the Dirty Harry movie. That were included in this. I usually don't see facsimile copies of the telegrams and things like that. So I think that's a little, gives you a little insight into the making of movies, so to speak. Let's see what else we have in here. We also have, remember the map? The Scorpio killer map that they had in the movie. And this actually shows all the areas. Oops, I probably won't be able to show all this in one shot, but I'll try to. It shows the places where the victims were found, and the locations where when Scorpio had him go to different phone booths and stuff, and he said he better be there at a certain time to answer the call, or this girl was going to die. But we get all that. We also have a picture of Clint Eastwood there, some bullets and all that stuff. That was really cool too, I thought. So that's the little goodies you get in this particular package. And I had to really look to find all this stuff, or find this particular package. Because I'm telling you, it wasn't easy to find. And it wasn't easy to find at a price that I could afford, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to put this back in there. But again, this is the Ultimate Collector's Edition if you're interested in searching it out. But I've been going on for about an hour and a half here, and Darren, it definitely is. And if you were going to go for a Blu-ray set, I would definitely try to find this one. There are other sets, but this is the coolest one that I found. And two, I was having a hard time at the point that I got this. of finding all the Dirty Harry movies on Blu-ray. Anyway, and so I thought, I'm going to just take the plunge. I think, like I said earlier, somebody was selling this. I think it was a buy now thing, so I didn't have to keep bidding on it. Where they had the buy now option to get it for $50, and I just bit the bullet, which is funny because we're talking about cop movies, and actually got this one because it had everything that I wanted in it. But I feel like I've blabbed on enough about the movies, but if there's anything you guys want to bring up or ask or bring up something that I may have forgotten in discussing these that is of particular interest to you, I'll be glad to stay on here a few more minutes and we can do that. And other than that, I'll probably cut this one off here in a few minutes. And I'll be back again with something soon. But if anybody has anything to bring up or ask or comment on, now's the time to do that. And actually, the pain in my mouth is starting to ease up, which is a good sign. Oh, great, Texas. So, you bought them, but you haven't got them in yet, right? So, Ben, you've only seen the original Dirty Harry. You haven't seen the others. Like I said, I highly recommend all of them. Like I said, the Deadpool, the last one, is, in my opinion, the weakest of the lot. It doesn't mean it's an awful movie. It's not. It still has its place in the series. I just personally think it's the weakest one. Ben, you say, kind of remind me of the Batman movie that just came out. A guy hunting a serial killer that's modeled after the Zodiac Killer. Like the new Batman. Yeah, I wanted to too, but is the sale over, Texas, or is it still going on a little bit longer? Well, thank you, Darren. You said good luck for tomorrow with the new job. I hope all goes well. Well, actually, I'm not too nervous about the new job. What I am nervous about is I'm afraid that I'm going to be in pain and not be able to give 100%. So I'm going to let them know right off, hey, I've had, um, a pretty tough tooth extraction. And I'm not going to be 100% today. But I'm here. And I'll do whatever you guys need me to do. Oh, tomorrow's the last day, Texas. Dang. I'm still waiting for my last paycheck from the library. I doubt very seriously I'm going to have it tomorrow. Well, you're welcome, Jay, and thank you for wishing me well on the new job. Thank you, Texas. I appreciate that. All these good vibes, I'm sure, are going to help me. So I might give this a couple more minutes if anybody wants to bring up. Hey, Dirk. What are we eating and talking about tonight? Well, actually, I just finished talking about Dirty Harry films just to have something different to talk about. And these are black jelly beans. Licorice jelly beans left over from Easter. Yeah, I'm sorry to be eating, but I had to go get a little something, and I had to take some medicine for my where I have the tooth extracted because it was giving me a little pain. I mean, they didn't tell me not to come in tomorrow if I had, anything other than like COVID symptoms. So, um, and I really didn't want to miss my first day. That's not really going to make a good impression, I don't think. But, yeah, sorry, Dirk. I had this one a little bit earlier tonight, just for two reasons, and you guys can plug your ears that were already in here. My home about um, the tooth extraction I had was kind of rough on me. I'm still feeling the effects of it, and two, I'm gonna have to get some more rest tonight because start the new job tomorrow. But once I get settled into the new job, maybe I'll be able to go back and have some of the ones that are a little bit later at night. Um, it seems to be, I mean, we had a pretty good group in here. Yeah, unfortunately, Dirk, I went through, briefly went through all the movies. But the good thing is this will be on YouTube, so you can definitely go back and watch it. Um, and then 5-year old crime films. Ooh. Um, I'll probably have to get back to you on that. Actually, Jay. But Dirk, actually, I was given the idea to talk about the like Italian ripoffs of the Dirty Harry movies. But before I do a live stream on that, I want to get myself a little more versed in those. I'm sure Steve could help me along the way with those. Well, thank you, Dirk. And like I said, I'm not nervous over that, the new job, so to speak. What I am nervous is that I'm not going to be 100% tomorrow, but I definitely want to be there. Because it is my first day. I want to make a good impression and all that. And, but, with this tooth extraction giving me a little trouble, I definitely am not going to be 100%, but I'm just going to be upfront and tell them, hey, I'm not sick. I just won't be 100% because of the tooth extraction, which was a little more difficult than I had anticipated it was going to be. But I think I'm going to cut it off here, guys. And I thank you guys for joining me tonight. It was fun, albeit a short live stream, quite a bit shorter than usual for me. But I hope to be back again with something soon. As soon as I get settled into the new job and get myself all paced so that I know exactly how late I can stay up and not be tired. And good night, Darren. But yeah, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me for about an hour and a half. And I'll be back again sometime soon. So I will see you guys on the flip side.